Uh, First of all, welcome everyone for today's session on exploring the Orchestrator API for UiPath. And thanks for Mason for joining this meeting, joining this community session on a very short notice. So Mason will help me with the chat moderation. Like if you have any questions throughout this session, please ping your questions in the chat. And we'll have some time for Q&A in the last, but once I complete my slides, you can present your questions. But meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can ping in the chat, and Mason will moderate the chat here. All right, let's get started. First of all, thanks for joining and showing a lot of interest in this particular session. Let me hit the view slideshow. All right. First of all, I wanted to conduct the session to explore the UiPath Orchestrator API, especially the capabilities of it and the current recent rate limits and the changes that are happening for this API that has been provided. So here are the persons who are with you in this session. Diana, unfortunately, she couldn't join because she had some pre-committed things. Myself, Naveen Chatlapalli. Just a brief about myself. I'm working as a solution architect at Ashland Partners. And I've been leading Dallas, UiPath Dallas chapter for 2 years. And recently I've been also selected as an MVP for 2024 with all the efforts and contributions that I'm making through the chapter and my articles through a couple of various social media platforms. Mason, do you want to give a short introduction about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Mason Turvey. I've been active with UiPath for probably about 3 or 4 years now, and I'm just an automation evangelist. I've been an MVP for the past 2 years. Have a lot of experience just building bots with UiPath. So happy to be here.
Thank you, Mason. And just to give a quick brief about Diana, Diana is the community leader for Americas. She also leads the community marketing for UiPath, and she assigns all the leaders, chapter leaders, and all these things with the assets and everything for any documentation and connecting with the product managers and all these things. So that's a little brief about Diana. Also, interestingly, UiPath has come up with a professional automation survey for 2024. Please go ahead and scan this QR code. I will also give you the survey link at the end. Or Mason, you can also provide the survey link. But please take your time and submitting your survey so that you can advance your next career in the automation space, and how to make UiPath easy to transition into UiPath, or into various technologies that UiPath has been launching, and various products that UiPath is working on in the AI and NLP space and process mining space, and also how to utilize the UiPath platform. And you can also provide your insights how you are currently utilizing the UiPath platform. So please leverage this and make your voice count. Thank you. And coming to the agenda of this session, I would like to introduce about UiPath Orchestrator, and we will discuss about recent changes that UiPath is proposing and how to adapt to these new limits. And I will also give you the best practices and being suggested by UiPath. Also, I'll show you a quick demo how this Orchestrator API works, because it is not, for me, even working on this Orchestrator API from a couple of months, I have so many questions, and even recently I reached out to a couple of members, and Mason gracefully has provided some of his expertise on these things. I haven't still worked on it, but yeah, there are so many nitty-gritty details that go into this Orchestrator API, so which I will try to show you in my demo, and we will cover it from the scratch. And I'll also show you how to adapt to this new limits in my demo as well, which is being suggested and recommended by UiPath. Okay, first of all, coming to the Orchestrator API, right? Like, what is API? API is Application Programming Interface. So everyone knows that. But mainly to introduce about Orchestrator API, it gives you feasibility of accessing all the information that you put in the Orchestrator API through Orchestrator, Cloud Orchestrator, or it can be on-premise Orchestrator through an API call. And it is a simple, they are completely providing an OAuth 2.0 authentication methodology, where I will show you in my demo how to use that, leverage that OAuth 2.0 operations. And the key features are, you can utilize it for job scheduling, you can utilize it for getting the accessing of how many jobs are being running, and you can also do some asset management. You can also do for queue handling, how many queues are being created, or you can also programmatically create queues using the API requests and all these things. And there are so many workflow orchestration that you can do through this API calls. So these are the main key features which we will discuss further. So coming to this API limits, right? The reason that they are proposing is to facilitate faster workflow execution, and because there has been so many customer base that UiPath is increasing, and currently as they are moving, as they are raging or they are promoting so much to move to cloud, they have so much customer base that is being built bigger customer base that is being built on the cloud or API, which is leveraging APIs. So they want to give the facilitate faster workflow execution, and so that is the reason they are limiting their API rates for some of the calls, for some of the API calls, not for every. We'll also discuss what are those some of the calls, and enhanced field optimization, because previously, as UiPath is also learning a lot about how to design API and all these things, they have given so many extra fields of information which is not being leveraged by many of the customers. So they are optimizing those field limits so that the processing time and the API accessing can be much faster, which can significantly improve the performance also on the applications which are being built or based on this API. And coming to the retrieval mechanisms, right? So as I told you, just to efficient data retrieval optimizations, and it's also increasing the response times for the user experiences. When, let's say, a customer wants to build an API call to see how many failed jobs are there, or how many job queues are being created. So to previously to get all the information with all the unwanted fields, it is taking much larger time. But with committing these or omitting these unwanted fields, going to optimize the retrieval mechanism, and also streamlined API endpoint connections. When you want to get the streamlined connectivity, right, it is also increasing the reliability on overall performance, where we cannot previously, if there is a lot of data that is being pulled, like thousands of records or millions of records of API through API calls, it might it might affect the overall performance on any of the systems that are being leveraged. Or API information of orchestrators from one system to, and you want to store that information into a Azure data blob, or you want to store that in a in some SQL format or some other format. It used to take much and much time, because there is a lot of information that needs to go into this, and there is an authentication that needs to go through this. So with all these changes and optimizations and rate limits, they are controlling this overall performance, which is also giving a great boost to their system reliability. And coming to the next one, the new rate limits are mainly being focused on the jobs, the requests that are being made for the jobs section and the queue item section. And the limit that they are adhering is 100 API requests per minute. So per minute, you can only make 100 API calls to OData jobs and OData queue items, which is also limiting their overloading of the system, which is a fair resource allocation for all the customer base, so that they can improve their API reliability and all these things. And coming to the large data fields that they're omitting, they are also omitting on the jobs large data fields. I will show you in the documentation. And they're also limiting some of the character limits of queue data fields, which is being leveraged currently. So some of the limitations are being set to, I think they are being tentatively being operated for a couple of customers, but they are promoting or pushing their enforcing their rules from July 2024. That is the plan. So I think we have a couple of we have a little wiggle room to get your API calls streamlined, or just optimize your current systems or current process if you are using this orchestrator API calls heavily. And timeline of changes, as I told you, right? They are trying to roll out these changes for this API limits for jobs and queue data in the month of July 2024, which can also you can, I think, if you have some communications with your technical account managers, you can discuss with them, and which is current gradual rollout phase from April to September 2024. That is the data field optimization that is being happening on the OData of queue items and jobs. So that is the main plan. And impact on the adjusting usage, as I told you, right? Currently at one of our clients, what we have built is, I'll give you a small example about the tool that we have built for them. By using the API calls, we built a tool for making calls to their queue data, and we consistently get that, we consistently run that process for every 30 minutes, and we get all their queue data information and get store that into their SQL database. So it has to run for every 30 minutes, but means there is a lot of API requests that can happen in a minute. It can also increase more than 100 API call requests. That means we are also verifying whether the queue data that has been added in the new state, whether it has been changed to in progress, or it is failed, or it is successful. We are also collecting all the information of what the output and input fields. So these informations will get affected. So please make sure you are looking into this. I think we can. Is there any audio, or is this to start? Hey, Mason, are you able to hear me? Sorry, I did not notice that.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I think Michael, maybe you can check your audio connection, but sorry for the interruption. But yeah, that is the tool that we have built. So with this rate limits currently being enforced, right? So there are some options that UiPath is providing by enforcing or adding some extra layers of header information on APIs to limit your API calls. I'll show you that how to populate or how to utilize them. So with those changes, you can also adjust your current tools or current processes that you have built based on this API calls. And you can also use just as user tips, you can also utilize batch processing and monitoring functionalities. So currently batch processing means let's say I want to, in my previous example, right, I want to get all the queues information. I will run the first queue information of a particular trigger to get all the latest queue items. We'll put a filter to give me only new queue items, and in the next 30 minutes or the next iteration or the next trigger, I will get the next level of information of what are all the processing items, or what are the queue items which are already successfully passed or failed, all these items. So in that way, if you batch your processing, right, that will be creating a data efficiency there for your processes, which will also reduce your overhead and increase your performance of your processes leveraging these APIs. The good thing is UiPath has heard to all of their customers' feedback, and they have provided some monitoring API dashboards right in the tenant level of the orchestrators. I will show you that how actually that looks like. And you can use that for monitoring system for how the current real-time monitoring of APIs is being used, and whoever that is making calls, or whatever the process that is making calls, that will be recorded on that monitor, where you can see if there is any spike on the API usage, so you can immediately go ahead and see which process is making it, or how many calls are being made. So you can also see through that dashboard. And benefits of changes, right, as we have initially discussed, it is all beneficial for both it's a win-win situation for the customer as well as UiPath, where UiPath benefits it by increasing as the customer base of UiPath is being increased, so they can support more and more customers with these limitations in the APIs, and also the customers can get the API calls faster, like API responses faster, so that they can leverage their data much more in an easier way. And also the another process that we worked on, I'll give you a small example. With all that data that has been stored on the job from collected from the jobs, from the orchestrator data, so we are generating some dashboards using Microsoft Power Platforms. There is a separate process that is being running, which will store all the jobs information currently or every time. I think it's being running for 2 times in a day. So every time the job runs, it will collect all the jobs information for that half of the day, and it will store them in a SQL table. And that SQL table is being connected to a Power Platform thing, and it is generating a beautiful dashboard, giving a visualization of how that things is being done. So even if you optimize these things, right, it will be much easier and faster for your other teams to leverage the data much quicker and take the decisions accordingly. So that is the thing. And also the reasons for limiting these unwanted fields from the APIs and limiting these protocols is there is a lot of threats that are happening, or threat that can happen from outsiders. Let's say we can call them as ransomware attacks, or any attacks or cyber attacks that can happen on these API calls. So they can protect them by not giving out any information and taking secured measures. Even though they are using the authentication of OAuth, they have certain protocols that can follow. But it is increasing more data integrity and protecting your system and protecting your own data as well. And coming to the demo, I will quickly start showing the showing you this article first. Sorry. Yeah. So this is the article. If you have already. Yeah, I think. Yeah, this is the article. I will post this in the chat for everyone. So where they have clearly gave you all the information. So I told you, right, they are limiting their rates on jobs and data jobs and OData queue items. So if you expand these, right, this is the limits on the table. Previously, if you don't see the complete table, you might be thinking that it might not be affected, but you have to click on the expand table option. Even I got confused there. So see the API limits that are being made. So it is 100 API requests per minute per tenant. It can be any of the tenant, like there are 3 tenants that we are currently using at our client locations, like development tenant, testing tenant, and production tenant. So make sure that you're configuring these based on tenant, and effective since July 24. So there is a 2 months of wiggle room you're getting again. And the other thing, how you can control these is you can pass this information of retry after in the header of the API, where you can limit, where you tell that how often you want me to retry this API call. Let's say the retry after is 10 seconds. That means the next API call will not happen until after 10 seconds. And also rate limiting, how many how many API calls that you want me to send. That means you have 30 calls remaining, and the count comes will reduce going on. So that is one thing. And large data fields, as I told you, the jobs information has been secured with input arguments and output arguments. These are the fields being omitted. And also on the queues based, there are a couple of other fields which are also being omitted. Coming to the progress, analytics data, output data, all these fields are being omitted in our queue items API call. So this is the process. This is the steps that we wanted to take care of, that we do not want to use these fields, progress field or analytics field or output fields and specific data fields in our queue item calls where you are currently developing any of the applications. And UiPath is also suggesting there are some alternative methods which I will discuss and show you in detail as well. So there's an alternative method where you directly make a call, a report download call, which will download the complete data into a CSV format, and I will show you that how it will happen. This is also a 3-step call where you can see that. So without any further ado, let's jump into the demo. Before jumping into the demo, right, I'll show you what is this uh, thing. Like in my, this is my community tenant, community orchestrator. This is not my client orchestrator. So I created 3 folders: test1, test2, and test3. These are modern folders where I have 2 queue items, 2 queues created in test1 folder, and 1 queue item in test2 folder, and 1 item in test3. And each queue has certain transaction items which are evidently being displayed here. Okay, I mean, this is especially I created this for our demo purpose, nothing else. So if you want to create, if you want to leverage these processes, you can directly use HTTP activities within UiPath process if you are developing them. But if you want to leverage them using some coding of C# coding or anything else, where you can test these API calls in a Postman, and so it's to Postman is a testing tool application, right? So API testing tool. So you can use these things by creating some external APIs. So how to create that external APIs is to your admin panel. Okay, so this is a little bit learning curve for me. Even the documentation in UiPath is not so, I mean, it is friendly, but it is not so elaborated. So I wanted to take this chance in showing you each and every detail here. So I clicked on admin panel, right? And I will go to external applications where I will create my API, where I will create my OAuth application for the API calls. So I will click on add application, and my application will be a confidential application, and I will give a name to it. I will create API orchestrator API, and let's call it as uh, Dallas. And you should be very careful in selecting these scopes, because these are the important ones which will give you the options to access the required API calls. Let it be so first of all, in the select resource, right, you currently we are only discussing about orchestrator API access. In the orchestrator there are so many tools, right? Data service API, test manager, document understanding, AI center API access. I'm not discussing about any of these. I'm only concentrating on orchestrator API access. These can be taken on a different session. So this session is only especially being focused on orchestrator API. So I will select my resource as orchestrator API. And be very careful when you are selecting the user scopes and application scopes. For me, the user scope has never worked. Only the application scopes are working for me. So make sure that you are selecting the application scopes, and select whatever the things that you make a call for. So if you wanted to grant your API only the read access, it will only grant the read access, so that you will select this scope of or.assets.read. If you want to grant the write access, only write access, you will uncheck this and you will select only write access. But if you want to give both, you will select this option, right? So I will select both, and I will show you this. I will get assets, I will get jobs, I will also get folders, and I will also get queue items, just for our demo purpose. Okay, I'm giving the scope of read and write access for my scopes for queues, jobs, and folders, right? And I will save this, which my scopes will be added here. Okay, make sure you select only the application scopes, not the user scope. So please keep that in mind. And the redirect URL will be your orchestrator URL. So I'm just giving my orchestrator URL of any of the tenant that you will be selecting for. And I mean, this can be any redirect URL, not only the orchestrator URL, but wherever your field scopes are registered to. Okay. And you will click add, which will give my application ID and application secret. So you have to make sure you save them secure in a secure place, and not let anyone of your external third-party members read these. Okay. So I will, just for demo purpose, I will create this now, and I will delete this anyway. So I have my app ID and I have my app secret, and you should also have your the Dallas event, right? You should also have your scopes ready. Okay. So I will have my scopes ready here. All right. So now let's open Postman and to the generate token. So OAuth authentication will have to consider generating the token first, and then it will give you this bearer token, where you have to pass this bearer token into your next calls. This is the starting point that we should say. Like, this is the gate which will let you open the next API calls. Without having this bearer token, this is the most secured way of doing it. Without having this bearer token, you cannot make calls to any of the next level of iterations. In this demo, I'll also show you, in this session, I'll also show you how to access this through Postman as well as Swagger. Okay. And coming to this token, right? This is the post call that you have to make to this URL, the cloud.uipath.com identity/token connect/token. And all you will do is you will pass your information of body, of your client ID, client secret, and scope. These are the three types, and the grant type as well, the client credentials, which are the grant type. So the client ID that we have copied, I will store them here. I will paste my app ID, that is client ID, and my client secret, that is going to be my app secret. I'll paste that here. So this is not the right way of testing, as I'm showing you all these things. But if you want to demo this to someone else, you can store this into some environment variables whenever you are doing some external coding, and you have to access this. Like, how do we access the config file in the process of UiPath? So you can access them through the environment variables when I'm doing this in some C# coding or somewhere. Okay, just make sure that you are giving this in a right way. Even though if you mess something up, right, and I want to make a call here, it will not generate me anything. So it will give me invalid client because I messed up my client secret. So be careful in giving this client ID, client secret, and scope values. Now let's click on send, and I got my first bearer token, where I will collect this bearer token, and I will go to my next call, that is going to be my OData call. Okay. My Postman is acting a little weird. Just give it a second. Yeah, I got it. So my OData call will be again made to, so previously it was a post call, but from next time it is going to be a get call, because I'm going to get the information, getting my, passing my bearer token. So whatever the bearer token I got, I will paste it here. I mean, you can again do it just by inheriting from your, inheriting auth from your parent, but I'm just, for the demo purpose, I'm showing you this. I'm just giving my auth type auth 2.0, and I'm passing my token value, the bearer token value here. And coming to these headers, I will just give my connection that is going to be keep alive. I think everything will be automatically be populated. Don't need to worry. And I will hit send. Perfect. I got my complete OData information. This is the OData information that is able within my orchestrator API call. Okay. So it contains of everything, like folders and everything. So if you have some questions that, like, what is the call that next call that I need to make, so it will show. If you type folders by clicking this Control F, or you click this magnifying lens icon, it will get you everything. If I want to make a call to queue, it is getting queue retention, queue list model, and the thing that will leverage is queue definitions and queue items. There will be queue items as well. Let me show you that. Yeah, not this one. Yeah, queue items. Okay, queue items and queue definitions will be the ones which we'll use, and all this information is being available on your API calls. So the next thing that will happen is, once I wanted to get the folders information, right? I will again pass my bearer token here. Okay, I will hit a send, and from now onwards, right, you have to give your tenant name as well as the orchestrator tenant value, tenant whatever the tenant name is. So sorry, this is an organization name and this is your tenant name, and give odata/folders, which will give you the folders that are available within your tenant. So as I showed you, right, previously I created 3 folders: test1, test2, and test3. So these are my 3 folders, and each folder will have a unique ID. So you have to copy this ID. This is going to be your organization unit ID. So please make sure that you have this organization unit ID, and you will pass this organization unit ID into your next calls, into your queue item calls and all these things. So this is a let's not focus on this right now, but yeah, this is next call is going to be a queue item call, where I have to get my token, where a token here.
Hey Naveen, there's a question in the chat. Do you have a
Yeah.
link where you can share that Postman collection?
Yeah, I after this call I will share my I will download this and export this and I will share this to chat. I don't know if there is any availability, but I will make sure I will send this to the community at like the event attendees. Yeah, this is going to be very valuable, so please leverage this. And yeah, where are we? We have to pass this organization unit ID, right? So all the queue items. So in my first queue item, right, there are 2 folders. So but what is this organization unit ID? This is going to be your folder ID, and if you are smart enough, you can figure it out through this operation also. So if I click on this test1, so I got my organization unit ID, right? If I select my folder ID, sorry, if I select my queue transactions, it is going to give my queue ID as well. This is going to be my uh, queue ID and folder ID. These are the both ones which are valuable for downloading this queue information. I will show you that how that is that is being leveraged. So here, if you see, the organization unit ID is my folder ID, where I got my folder ID here. That is going to be FID, and this is going to be my queue ID. Okay, and if I pass this information, send, it is going to give the information. Okay, it is saying not authenticated. That means I have to pass my bearer token again. Copy, get queues, authorization, and so it is going to give my count of how many queue items are available in that particular folder. There are 4 queue items that are available. Sorry, 4 transaction items that are available. So you see this OData count, right? So this is the one which is leveraging that. And if you want to get the how many queues are available, you will use this queue definitions API call, and again you have to pass your bearer token and make sure yeah, see q1 and q2, it is getting your q1 and q2. So these are all the ones which will which are being leveraged. And as I told you, right, in the previous API rate limits calls, they are eliminating couple of these things here. Yeah, this call. So what they are limiting is, what they're omitting is, they are getting rid of analytics data, output data from these queue items. So that means in my postman, if you see this get queue items call, they are going to remove this analytics data. Yeah, this specific data column is going to be eliminated, and specific content, I don't think specific content they have written anywhere, right? Yeah, specific content and specific data both are being eliminated, or sorry, they are being limited to 500 kilobytes. So please make sure that then 500 kilobytes of data is being populated from these calls. And they are also getting rid of output and output data, like that is being limited to 100 kb. So which is a things which are those things that will be limited in certain sections. And all these things, whatever you are seeing, these will be limited from July 2024. So make sure you are optimizing your processes moving forward. And coming to the alternative way that UiPath is suggesting is, you can directly download this complete information of this queue data of whatever that you are seeing here. Yeah, whatever that you are seeing here, this q1 and q2 informations. So there are three remaining queue items, right? I wanted to see download these three items at once with using one call. I can make that happen. Okay, so for that I have to use another call for posting. I mean, the request has to be a post request, and this is the call that you have to leverage. And here again, you have to pass organization unit ID, that is going to be a folder ID, and the queue definitions will limit your will give your other thing. Sorry, I just wanted to cover one more thing here, the options that you can filter directly from here. So if you don't want, let's say currently this is my testing demo, but if you want to filter a couple of operations on your API request call itself, you can use filters like this. You can filter, I mean, if you type in Google, like give me, or you can use ChatGPT, give me an OAuth filter of creation time based on your API request. It will give you an API OAuth request, like all these things. And this is the filter that I'm using. So what this filter is doing is, so here in my API call, where is the creation time? This is the creation time. I only want the creation time which is greater than 17th of May. So currently it is 21st. So it is giving me all the requests that are greater than 17, right? If I give this date as 22, let's say I give 22, I should not get anything. So let's see if the filter is working. Yeah, perfect, it is working. So that means it is the tomorrow's date. As I ran everything on today, it is not giving me anything that is giving me for tomorrow's date. But I mean, this is as the example, but you can leverage it for many purposes. You can use filter for creation time, or you can use, oh, it is not greater than 21 also. So let's try 20. So it can be greater than or less than or equals to, like whatever all the operations that you'll use. This is imagine that this is like a SQL query, and these are all where classes. That's a simple explanation about that. But yeah, you can filter not only on creation time, you can filter on any of the entities that you are seeing here. You can filter on preferred date, you can filter on unique key, or you can filter on specific data fields and all these things. Okay, yeah, sorry for the interruption, but I'll go back to the alternative way how UiPath is recommending to download this queue data at once. Okay, for this you have to use this call orchestrator OData queue definitions, and this is the folder ID. As I told you, this is going to be your folder ID. Where you will get this folder ID is from the queue definitions. If you see my ID here, see, this is the ID. Not all IDs are same. So the difference is uh, the queue item, the folders, get folders call will give you the folder ID, and queue definitions will give you the queue ID. Okay, this is the queue ID value. So please make sure you are using a different API calls here. And coming to this post operation, if you call this call, if you make the call to this and you pass your folder ID, okay, and let me see if I have to pass this beta token again. Copy and go to your post and give an authorization. Pass your beta token, the latest one, and if you hit send, make sure you are passing your organization ID also. So perfect, it is generated your queue item query. It is passed your request. So a request has been sent that you want to download all the queue items from this particular queue ID within this folder ID. Okay, so you have to be very careful. And also while making a call, this is a string value and this is going to be an integer value. I mean, that has been not recorded in the documentation, but I'm just with my practice, with my experience, I'm telling you that. This is going to be the folder ID value that you'll pass in the header section is going to be a string value. And the ID value that you're going to pass on this API call, the folder ID, the QID value, this is going to be an integer value. And these are all the filters that I'm leveraging on the top of it. So yeah, just make sure of that. And after this, I want to get the download link, right? So just to see whether the operation has been downloaded or not, I will copy the ID that has been given by the post call, and I will pass that here. This is the next call to see whether the exports are generated or not. 50649, come here. 50649. Okay. Let's see. I think my bearer token should be alive. It's saying not authenticated, so I have to always copy this. But if you use Swagger, right, it will not ask you for generating the authentication token. But or you are developing something through the UiPath Studio or Azure Studio, you can handle this using C# or VB.NET coding. So yeah, going back to this export, I will go into the authorization. I will pass my bearer token and I will hit send. Perfect. Executed it finally. So the we are ready to download this report. And going to this, I will also generate my download URL, which is going to be a link. It has to be 649. So previously we are passing the 649, right? Like the ID that has been generated through the post call is 50649. That's what we got here. So pass the 50649 and hit send. Perfect. You got a URL to download this report, and copy this URL. And you can paste it in your browser window, which will eventually download your file. See, this file has been downloaded. So let's open and see and compare whether the output that we wanted to see has received or not. Oh, come on. My system is acting very slow today. Sorry about that. Let me extract all the values here. So queue items. Yeah, I got my queue items and line this up. So I should be seeing all the queue items of downloaded. Perfect. There is one queue item that has been created, and let's see whether it is correct or wrong. View transactions. Perfect. There is only one queue item, and we can also compare the values. Details. So I wrote, this is my first argument, this is my second argument in 1, 2, 3. So let's see whether it has given me that or not. Information will be available in your specific data. See this. This is my first argument, this is my second argument in 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So it is matching. So this is how you download your queue data in an alternative way that is being recommended by UiPath. Or else you can take care of your rate limitings by using methods, by passing some extra information of retry after and x rate limit remaining in your headers. Okay, so that is the one. And next thing I wanted to show you is just give me a second. Yeah, I showed you third-party access app scope, organization related alternative method for downloading. Yeah, the second thing I wanted to show you is the API monitoring. So it's currently in preview mode, but I think UiPath will be very fast to implement this. So if you want to, let's say I told you there is a real-time monitoring that UiPath is coming up with, right? So if you go to tenant and click on monitoring, and you see this API auditing. So currently, as I do not have significant data, it is not recording anything because I created all the test data today itself. But I can show you something from my client environment, how that actually looks like. So let me show you that. So this is how data looks like. So API auditing, hope everyone can see that, right? So this is the API auditing screenshot that taken from my client location, orchestrator. I cannot show you that because of some restrictions. So a quick screenshot, and there are no information available other than this calls. So yeah, if you start using this auditing thing, it will show you or give you the complete information, and this is how they are implementing the API thing. Next thing I want to do is how to create Swagger. So this is my orchestrator URL, right? Let's say I wanted to make the direct calls or just to test out whether it is being leveraged or not. I will copy this orchestrator URL and I will just type Swagger at the end, and I will hit enter, which should directly connect my orchestrator of AI Fanatic organization and my default tenant. Sorry about that. Default tenant into this Swagger thing, and here you have to authorize this. First of all, for using any of the calls here, so you have to click on authorize. I have already been authorized, so let me log out. So first run itself, it will capture the client ID, so don't touch any of the client ID that is being populated. All you need to do is just pass your client secret that you have stored previously. So this is my client secret value, right? So let me that, and let me paste that here, okay, and hit authorize. It should be authorized now. So as I told you, right, don't touch any of the things. Don't touch ID. All you need to do is just pass your client secret value, and you hit authorize here. Oh, I think I have to delete this and again paste it. Yep. Okay. Oh, there is some error that's been populated in Valcrat. What did I mess up? Yeah, just before I showed you this and it was working. Let's try one more time. Authorize. Let me copy this, or let me copy this app secret. Authorize. Yep, perfect. It has been authorized now. So now how to leverage this calls are, go down, search for folders, or you can do a control F. Wherever you see folders, yeah, here is the folders. So you will get the complete information of whatever that I have done in the Postman. I mean, I like using Postman, but that doesn't mean everyone needs to use Postman. But you can also use Swagger or any other testing API testing tools. So let's say I wanted to see what that are available in my orchestrator. I will expand this. I will click on this try it out method. And there are no mandatory fields here. If you see, there is nothing mandatory. So you can just click on execute. These are all the filters, by the way, just to make sure if you want to expand on anything. So you can click order by or top, give me only top 100 or top 10. So like that. Yeah. So these are my 5 folders. The OData account is 5. So my test 1, test 2, test 3, and test 4, all the folder values are available. So this is how you test it. And go down again if you want to, sorry, if you want to select on Q data, you will get Q. And I wanted to select Q items here. So I will select my Q items. So let's go to Q items, expand this, and click on try it out. So here, as I told you, right, the folder organization unity is mandatory. Let's see if I hit execute, what will happen. So it is automatically giving all the values of the Q items that are total OData count is 106 in my total tenant. So I just wanted to get the organization, the folder ID of one folder. I only wanted to get the information from one folder. So I will pass the information of only one folder value. So let me collect that. And I will pass it here and I will click execute. So previously I saw 106, right? Now it came down to 4. That means it is only giving the Q items value from from one folder. Okay. So this is how you can play with Swagger as well. Like you can get all the information, but please make sure whenever you are trying delete or put on your client's data. So don't practice on your client's data for doing the CRUD operations. Try to get, there is nothing problem in getting these values, try and get queries, but be careful when you're trying delete or put or post. Okay. So that is all about my demo. I think I can get back to the presentation here. 1 second. Where is my presentation? Yeah. Yeah. So any questions, we can leave it open for any questions. And here are the your ways that you can connect with I mean, any chapter, any Dallas chapter events that you're interested moving forward, please go ahead and click on this URL and sign up for that. And I'm going to conduct one especially good event for every month, and you can leverage the opportunity of learning from me and also sharing your knowledge. And if you want to connect us with link through LinkedIn, these are our LinkedIn URLs. And I will leave it open for questions if you have any. Mason, do you have any interesting questions in the chat that I have to answer or something?
There's one from Joe.
Okay.
That I'm typing up a message to right now, but he's basically asking about some of his reporting processes that have close to 4,000 queue items, where they're getting the specific content and the output data for these items, and wants to know if the data limits are going to apply to them if it's on-prem or private cloud deployment of Orchestrator.
That's a very good question. But as you, it's only especially being affected for cloud as far as I know, but I can correct myself. But I think that's what you have replied in your chat as well. Yeah. Even this is the limits that are being made for orchestrator calls, especially for queue data calls. So make sure not crossing these limits and test out in certain ways. And again, if you are thinking that you are hitting the limit of 100 API requests, you can still start leveraging this retry after or rate limiting in passing in your headers so that you can buy some time with your API calls.
Yeah, and it's for his specific scenario, Joe, because you're only calling like 4,000 queue items from that queue. That would be, so the queue items endpoint has a cap of 1,000 that it returns every time you call it. So for 4,000 queue items, that would only be 4 calls. You'd have to do that 25 times a minute to hit that limit.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good math. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, happy to help. And as I told you, I will export this API calls and I will put that.
We have one more question from Ben.
Sure.
Do you know if we hit the API call limit during a single minute, will the jobs that are exceeding the limit pause or fail? I think I saw something in the documentation that mentions this, but can't recall what it was.
Actually, it shows that it is failed for some reason. I think, yeah, they gave the message also. I saw it somewhere.
Yeah. So if you scroll back up to that, what happens is they return a 429 response.
Exactly.
And so you can take that response and retry after the minute is up. So your API call will fail, but you'll be given some information to be able to handle that.
Yep, exactly. I don't see a client secret when I click on authorize. Where can I get? Yeah, as I told you, right, you have to create a application, external application, Sharmila. That's how you get that. You already responded to it. Okay. Great. Yeah. Happy to take any more questions if you have. Do you have? Okay. I think we answered that. Yeah, happy to take any calls. As I told you, I'll export this in this Postman calls, and I will add this to my presentation, and I will put that in the UiPath Dallas chapter meeting that we have currently have. Because after every meeting, we post our slides there. This is the link. If you don't have it handy, so you can actually search through here, and if you select this link, I'll be posting my slides here next in an hour or so. So I'll add that URL where you can download the Postman call from there. So yeah. Yeah, I think if we don't have any questions, we can wrap the call. You're anyways on the top of the hour. First of all, thanks Mason for helping me in moderating the chat, and hope everyone liked this session. And please join Dallas chapter and sign up for the events so that